What is going on, everybody? Happy Sunday.
Whoop, whoop.
Katie, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, it's great to meet you. My name's Logan. No, doing great today. We are here for our Power Couples podcast. What are we talking about today, Katie?
We are talking about systems and automation and getting out of all of the tasks you don't want to do in a business.
You want to be, what's the old adage? You want to be working on your business, not in your business?
Yes.
What does that really mean?
Really means just delegating.
Oh.
Delegation. That is my word for 2022.
Why do people struggle with delegation?
Because they think they can do it better.
Oh my gosh.
Most of the time.
The master. They're the masters. Nobody can do it better than you, right? There's
nobody does it.
You're so special. You're such a special snowflake.
It's actually funny because as much as you believe that people cannot do it better than you, like everything that I've delegated, people do better than me. Yeah. It's really fun.
I have a new belief that I literally am the worst at everything, and there's somebody out there who's better than me at everything.
It's a good belief.
The only thing that stopped me in the past, and might stop people out there, is just thinking that they're lazy for not doing anything. They almost feel bad. They're like, well, why would I have somebody put gas in my car? Why would I have somebody go grocery shopping for me? Why would I have somebody clean my house? Why would I have somebody do my laundry? Why would I have somebody call prospects? Why would I have somebody fulfill my customers? Why would they do that?
Well, one thing I know your goal is to be able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want.
And so
you can't have a full schedule if that's your goal.
That's true. That's true. So the key to having automation in your business is delegation.
Delegation.
Right? So it sounds really easy, but there's obviously little strategy and tactics that go into actually delegating, right? Because what are we delegating to? Are we delegating to a person? Are we delegating to a process? Or is it a combination of both things?
Both
things. It's awesome. So that's what we're talking about today, is the power of delegation. But before we do, let's talk about what happened last week. Last week, we on our podcast, you guys didn't follow us. The podcast is on YouTube. We talked a little bit about how our car got wrecked, or Escalade. So what's the update on the car?
We don't know much.
We still don't know much. Duh.
Other than it's at the shop, it's got about $26,000 of damage, and Turo has been contacted.
Yeah.
A claim has been filed. That's about where we stand.
Yeah. So if you guys were on here last week, our 2021 Escalade got wrecked, and actually didn't even look that bad, but it amounted up to be about $26,000 of damages. The airbags went off on it, and let's say is our Wi-Fi off here a little bit, and it turned out to be not drivable now for like what, almost probably a month or two. It's not even drivable for, right? All right, we gotta make sure that our internet's a little laggy right now. We can connect to this. Change our network here. Internet problems.
Why didn't you delegate the internet?
The internet's a real pain in our butt right now.
Why didn't you?
All right, I'm not sure if our internet is good or bad or what's going on with it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's dive in a little bit to the delegation process. Is our internet good? If you guys are watching this, tell us, is the internet laggy? Is it good? Let me see in the comments. There's 7 people watching right now. There's so many people.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Is it laggy? Is it good? What's going on? What's going on with the internet?
Oh, we got another bar. We're improving.
The bar is coming back up. If we just take off more of our...
No problem. We good.
Okay. Now we're back. Okay. So let's chat about delegation. So let's go to the rental business, right? I think that's the one where this kind of all started for us when we started like this idea of delegation and product managing. And so everything from managing tenants, the first thing you do to manage a tenant though is you have to find tenants and you have to screen them, and then of course you have to manage them. And so we just went through a process where we created videos, right? Like screen sharing videos of how do you go and you find tenants, What's the ads? What's the copy? What do you say to get people to say, hey, I want to rent your place? And then after you do that, well, then once they raise their hand, they say, I want to rent your place. Like, what is the process like for them, the application? And then what are you looking for on that application? And then what do you say to them to qualify them, all the way to the point where
we rent them the house.
We rent them the house, right? And then we can actually start managing them. So, Katie, what was kind of your experience with doing that? And like, honestly, why did we do it?
Yeah, so I think we need to talk about how we got to even the place where we could do this. So we've made a video about this before, but our first rental property, we had no idea what we were doing. We bought a property, we were painting the interior, we had just had a baby, and we had no idea how to manage it. So we bought a book and we listened to this book by Brandon Turner. It was How to Manage Rental Properties. And he gave us the blueprint that we still use today on how to manage properties. So little did I know, I created a system. So the first time that you do something, it's not necessarily the best time, but when you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, you create a system. And when your system is consistent, it's easy to delegate. So this time around, I literally, every single step of the process, I made a video about, as well as why I do what I do. And if there's documentation that goes with it, we created a link as well in this Google Docs. So not only are you explained as to why we're doing what we're doing in the process of renting a property, but also any documentation, a lease, move-in checklists, even the application on the front end that they fill out, and what criteria we need for them to meet our minimum standards to even be qualified for the next round. So yeah, it was basically me going back in and figuring out why I did what I did. Thank you, Brandon Turner, and making videos on it.
Yeah. So if you guys ever heard that book, Managing Property Rental Properties by Brandon Turner, we basically did that book, but we created a document with walkthrough videos on exactly how to do that.
It's like the Cliff Notes version.
It's literally the Cliff Notes of like, here, if you don't read the book, you just want to follow the steps. That's what Katie made, right? And it's fire. It's good. And so, curious, like, would anyone want that? Would anyone want to have that? Just like, if you want access to that property management videos, those Cliff Notes, those how-to, everything from finding tenants, screening tenants, to managing tenants, let me know. I'm like genuinely curious if people would want access to that. And then we also have short-term rentals, right? And so you did this very same process with our short-term rentals, correct?
Yes.
So walk me through that process.
Yeah. So short-term rentals are kind of, they're not as streamlined as long-term rentals because there's a lot more action going on throughout all of them. So I basically made a script we're going to delegate this to our VA, and I made a script basically saying, if they don't, how to respond to the tenant who's going to book your place. If they don't tell you why they're coming to town, you ask them why they're coming to town. If they do tell you why they're coming to town, you comment about their trip, what they're coming for, and then you let them know that you're going to send check-in information on a specific date. If there is any questions that they have during their stay, those will be learned as time processes, and we will definitely create scripts that go on those responses. But then at the end, we send a checkout message to make sure it's automated. The checkout message is automated. And then if there's a response, we always just make sure that we respond back. We also, so it's the VA's responsibility to actually schedule a cleaning on the cleaning company's schedule every time that an Airbnb books. So there's a few things that we've systematized and we've put into a process that helps delegation become easy.
Yeah. And so it's funny because we have a VA doing all those things, right? How much does that VA make?
$150 a week.
$150 a week, which is what, $600 a month. Okay. Now I want you to think about this. This is why this is so freaking important. For $600 a month, you can have someone manage your whole portfolio of real estate, your whole portfolio of, which includes long-term rentals and short-term rentals, right? You know how much property managers charge for their service? Do you know how much they charge?
If you get a good deal, as low as 6%, most 8 to 10.
Let's just call it 10% for easy math, which means that if you have a property that generates $2,000 of revenue, keep in mind, they do it based on the gross, not the net. So if you have a property that rents out for $2,000 a month at 10%, how much are they taking every single month?
$200.
$200, which means that after 3 properties, that would equal to our $600, right? Do we have more than 3 properties?
Yes.
Do we have a lot more than 3 properties?
Yes.
So that's for long-term rentals, right? And that also doesn't include, you know what they charge you for? So I don't know if you guys know this, but property managers, not only do they charge you 10%, but they also charge you an activation fee. So like when you sign up, they'll like when they get ready to do a property, they'll charge like $500 just to fill a property.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they turn it over, they'll charge you fees on top of that. And here's actually the kicker. Here's where they actually make their money. Tenant calls and says, "Hey, I have an issue with my garbage disposal. I have an issue with my dishwasher." Like, they don't call you because you hired a property manager. They call a property manager. The property manager, they call a handyman, right? And they bill, and the handyman bills them at $50 an hour. But guess what? You get paid as a homeowner, as a landlord.
What?
You pay $100 an hour. So they make $50 an hour just by connecting that person, which is like fair, right? That's fair. That's part of their job. But you just paid an extra $50 an hour because you didn't want to handle a phone call. Which, how hard is that? Is it hard?
No.
It's not really not that hard. And so that is like, if you just understand property management, it's not that freaking hard. People who never manage property manager or who never manage properties, they're always the ones who say like, you don't want to get a job. I didn't get into real estate to get a job. Did you get into real estate to get a job?
No. I got in real estate to get out of a job.
Right. And so ultimately, but there's also phases. There's also seasons in life. Okay. The season is you got to understand how the business works. So you have to actually do the job for a period of time. So you understand how freaking easy it is. It's not difficult. It's literally the simplest job on the planet. Right. And so I am going to tell you, if you're in real estate, unless you have a business that does so much freaking money that real estate is truly just like you're just storing money, I suggest that you get into real estate and you actually are hands-on for a period of time. Take 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. For a short period of time, get your hands dirty, do the job, just so you have an understanding of it. So you realize how freaking easy it is.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can have someone on your team actually handle the job description of managing the freaking properties, whether it be short-term or long-term, right? We didn't talk about short term yet. We'll talk about short term soon. Let's talk about long term right now, because long term is like so freaking easy. Okay. What are some of the biggest issues you've ever had? Okay, as a long term property manager.
Yeah, long term property management. We have had one instance that comes to mind. We had a flood it was a 3-story building, and 3rd story flooded and got dripped all the way down to the basement.
Yeah.
It really honestly was not that big of a deal, though. I got a phone call. The tenant was not very bright, asked me a few questions and said, I didn't know who to call. Like, it's been running all night. I didn't know who to call. So I ended up calling you. And I'm like, that's great. Next time, just call me right away when something happens. We got a restoration company over there right away. They dried everything out. We filed an insurance claim and it was all repaired. We paid what is the payment that you make to the insurance company? Or am I blanking it?
I mean, you make to an insurance company.
Yeah, the minimum that you have to make.
The deductible?
The deductible. Thank you. We paid the deductible and everything was fixed. It took some time. It took a little bit of attention, but honestly, that's like as bad as it gets.
Yeah. Well, but did you go in there and did you redo the bathroom? Did you mitigate the water damage?
No, I was the connector. I was the one getting paid to basically connect my handyman, the restoration company, the insurance company to the issue.
Got it. And how much time did it actually take you, that whole process?
Probably 5 hours total.
5 hours total. And did it cost you anything? Did it cost us anything?
The deductible.
How much was the deductible?
I don't even remember. $500.
$500, right? And the overall bill was how much?
$15,000.
Yeah. So number one, benefit of having insurance. Thank you, insurance. But the second piece of that, like the biggest disaster that we had, a $15,000 water damage, 3rd story toilet flooded all the way down to the basement. It took about 5 hours of work, right? So like, if you're gonna get bent out of shape over 5 hours of work, get out of here. Like, just get out of here. Like, I just have no sympathy, right? And at the end of the day, now the situation that would happen, like, do we have someone in place that would be able to handle that? And maybe it takes you 1 to 2 hours. Maybe you just have to consult that person and tell them what to do now,
mm-hmm.
right? And ultimately, like, that's the beauty of delegation, is you understand the process and then you're able to delegate to that person.
Yeah, this is also important to understand the process, because if and when you do actually hire a property management company, or you train a VA to be your property management company, you need to be able to communicate what your expectations are from them. And if you personally cannot solve a problem, how can you expect them to solve a problem? That is the only time that tenants call you, is if they have a problem. And it's really not, I mean, problems arise every single day. Like it's
Yeah.
how you handle that problem, and you become solution oriented and you find the solution. But I think it's ridiculous to be able to set an expectation of somebody else to find a solution when you emotionally are like, I can't handle it. It's not for me. I can't find a solution. Like, how can you expect someone else to find a solution if you're bent out of shape over it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important. It's important for you to do the do first, have a general understanding of it. And then, of course, you're always going to run into issues that you never have done. But at least that when you're in it, you can at least have a sense of understanding of here's what needs to get done.
Yeah. Well, and understanding the process as well. Like, looking back, it was the best thing that ever happened, because now, next time it does happen, like, I know exactly how to handle the situation. The first time, it's always a little bit intimidating. It's always a little bit scary. But like, if you can just document everything that you do and create a system out of it, like, it sets you up for success for the next time it's going to happen. Because it does happen. Like, it really does happen. And it's just a matter of time before the next time happens.
It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when,
Yeah.
right? It's awesome. Hey, I know some of you guys on here, some of you guys are in the sub 2 group. Some of you guys are looking to stay with us at the MGM, right? And so hopefully the MGM, our room does not flood. Hopefully we don't have any issues while we're there. But hey, if you're interested in staying with us, we're going to we're just going to let someone stay with us, right? Like, we decided long ago that we had 2 beds. We got 2 beds for a reason, that we wanted to find someone who was in the sub 2 group. We wanted to go to the Clever Investor Summit. We wanted them to stay with us. So we're going to pick that at the end of this call today. But you must be on YouTube. So go to my YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, awesome. If you're not watching this on YouTube, go to my YouTube. I'll put it here in the banner. Go to my YouTube, and I want you guys to comment on there. That way we can see that you were watching on YouTube. I want you to comment on this live stream, and also subscribe to the channel, right? Mm-hmm. Why should they subscribe?
Mm-hmm. We've been to quite a few masterminds, and it's always fun to connect with people after the mastermind.
No. Why should they subscribe to the channel?
Oh, I don't know why they should. Because it's bomb. I mean, look at us.
Well, because we're doing podcasts every week, right?
Yeah.
What are we doing podcasts on?
Sorry, I was thinking about something else. Wow!
Let's get back on the same page here. Why should they subscribe to the channel?
I'm thinking about somebody sleeping in the same room as us.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's going to happen.
I was going to explain why, but that's fine.
That's a foregone conclusion. Why should someone subscribe to the YouTube channel?
Because we do awesome weekly videos.
Yeah. Weekly podcast talking about what? What do we talk about?
We talk about marriage. We talk about problems. We talk about property management. We talk about wrecked brand new Escalades. We talk about real life happenings. Oh. Because
wealth, growing your wealth.
We're at wealth, health.
It's awesome. So go subscribe, go like on there, go like the video, get some love, share it. Let's go. Okay, so now we're back to our regular scheduled programming. Let's talk about short-term rentals. Okay, so we talked about being a long-term landlord. Let's talk about being a short-term landlord. So again, Katie, you're the one who does all this stuff. Like, I'm the pretty one. I'm the one who gets all the love, but you're really the one who's in the background, is actually doing all the stuff. So tell me, what does it look like to be a short-term landlord? And just for anybody who's out there, like, do you know how much short-term landlords, property, like, so they call themselves vacation rental companies, do you know how much they take off the revenue? Do you have any idea?
I don't.
Yeah, they take anywhere from 15 on the low end upwards to like 50%. Like, those are generally for big properties. But I would say, generally speaking, somewhere between 15 and 30% is about normal. So if you have a property that's doing, let's do math here. Let's say you have a property, because short-term rentals, obviously, you can get a little bit higher gross. Let's say a property is doing $4,000 a month. And let's say you take that by just 25%.
$1,000 a month.
They're making $1,000 a month. So how many short-term rentals could you have for the same price of our $600 VA?
One.
And who actually does better, do you think?
No, VAs for sure.
And why? Like, who does the VA work for?
Me. And
who does a property management company work for?
Themselves.
Well, yeah, but they also work for hundreds of other clients.
Yeah.
Who does our VA work for?
Me.
How many clients do they have?
One.
So always understand like people's motivation and where their attention goes is far more important than, and that's number one, that's the most important thing. So that's why it's important for you to learn so you actually can share that skill. You can teach somebody. But at the end of the day, like I don't care how good somebody is. Like if they're working with hundreds of other clients, their attention cannot be as good, even close to as good as the person who's got one job, and their one job is to manage your properties and manage your rentals.
Yeah.
Right. So with that being said, tell us the life of a short-term landlord. Like, how hard is it? What is the most difficult thing that you've ever experienced as a short-term landlord? And this might have just happened.
Our flood?
No. Overbook?
Oh yeah. So short-term landlording is awesome. It is definitely more hands-on than long-term property management, but there's a lot of communication that happens with your guests. Your guests are here for a short period of time. You got to tell them how to get in, where to park, how to check out, what do they need to do before they check out, and then if they have any questions during their stay, you need to be available for it. So there's a lot more communication that goes on than when I rent somebody a long-term house and I do my due diligence. They're going to be a phenomenal tenant, and I will only hear from them if there is a problem. Whereas short-term rental people are traveling from out of town. They want to know, what are your recommendations? You live here. Tell me, what you recommend for a fancy dinner. Tell me what you recommend for a low-key breakfast. Most of them want to know a little bit more about the area. So there is a little bit of communication that happens. And we list our short-term rentals on 3 different platforms. So we list on booking.com, VRBO, and Airbnb. I would say probably 75% of our bookings come from Airbnb, 20% come from booking.com, and 5% come from VRBO. And those 3 platforms need to be communicating with each other and blocking off dates. If somebody books on Airbnb, it needs to be blocked off on booking.com.
What happens if that doesn't happen?
You overlap bookings. And somebody...
Has it ever happened to you before?
Yes.
When?
Last weekend.
Tell me what happened.
Yeah, it was one of those moments of can I swear? Oh shit, is exactly what happened. I get a message, and it's from the tenant, or it's from our cleaning company, actually. I get a message from the cleaner, and she says, Katie, I just came to the house, and there's definitely stuff here. Like, these people are not checked out yet. And in my head, I'm like, what? How did that happen? I have people checking in at 3. So I message her, and I'm like, just stand by. Give me 5 minutes. So I scramble. I look at the apps, and sure enough, I have a guest who's currently staying there that is not checking out until tomorrow, and I have a guest that needs a place to stay tonight for a 4-night stay. We just so happened to be out of town at the time, and this was our basement apartment that this happened in. So I told my cleaning gal, I said, we're going to fly by the seat of our pants right now, and you're going to go upstairs, and you're going to present our house to this group of individuals who needs a place to stay. She did a phenomenal job. She made it look like no one lived there. Mind you, we are also renovating our house. So our kitchen doesn't have countertops. The construction workers literally were wrapping up. It was Friday afternoon. They were like just cleaning their stuff up and getting out of the way. So it was kind of what do you call it? A fustercluck for a while. But I called the tenant, and I was like, guys, listen, like, I am super sorry. I don't know how this happened. The platforms didn't communicate, but I have a solution. Don't go to the apartment that I told you to go to. Go to the house upstairs. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be a great stay. And then, leave your stuff there all day. Whenever you guys are ready to check in the basement, go ahead and move your stuff to the basement. Group of 5 people. They had a great stay. They were here to ski. They were out all day anyways. So it all worked out in the end. But that is like the worst thing that can happen, is like double bookings. We just so happened to ironically be out of town and construction be done the same day. But it was a true sheer panic moment.
But it all worked out because we got into
But it made
solution
me
mode.
create a video for our VA to make sure that we are double checking that all of the calendars across every platform are syncing all the time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen again.
So that problem, that situation, it created a new process, right? So that's all problems do, is they create opportunities for you to create a way to find the solution in that moment. And again, so then you got to find the solution in the moment, and then you go back and like, okay, how do I make sure this actually doesn't happen again? Because in that moment, like, could you have outsourced, like once it actually happened, could you have said to the VA, like, hey, will you take care of this?
No.
No, like you actually had to handle that situation, right? Because you had a process error in the back end to make sure that didn't even happen. So now you go back and you make a process that allows that so it doesn't happen again. So in person, you become the solution finder. It doesn't have to come open again.
Yep.
Right. Now that's a solution that happened in, or that's a situation that just happened recently. Have you ever had a different situation where you had double bookings? Maybe they weren't like in a moment, but you had where you noticed that you had double bookings in the future.
Yeah, Booking.com. We've been with Booking.com ever since we listed our basement. And for whatever reason, Booking.com switched something. And this entire summer, I think I had 14 double bookings that I didn't like. We get a lot of bookings, so I'm not constantly pulse checking it. I've created a system now to pulse check it constantly, to actually have somebody else pulse check it. But I had to go back and basically ask 14 different parties to cancel.
They were probably really happy about that.
Most of them, after explaining the situation, were at least cordial. I had 3 individuals who were irate, and they were like, I will not cancel. This is ridiculous. The only reason you're canceling us is because you know you can get more money. So I'd have to like send a screenshot of the double booking to them and be like, no, this is actually really what's happening. And you booked after the person who's currently there. So you actually should not have even had this available. Yeah. And it lasted about a week. And our Booking.com, for whatever reason, after I messaged all these people, the people were like, I'm rebooking. I'm looking for another place and I'm looking to rebook. And a place is still available. And I was like, what? So I was on support calls with Booking.com for like 3 days straight, but it all got resolved. And as long as you communicate and you're honest and you're like, this is a problem, people are usually pretty cordial and they don't make a big issue out of it.
So there's issues with being a short-term landlord,
mm-hmm.
right? So those are like some double booking issues. What about like maintenance requests, anything like that? Have you ever had floods in your short-term rentals, or people getting locked out or anything like that?
Yeah, I've had it all. One of our doors, so we have an exterior door that stays unlocked, and then you come in and we have 2 different doors that go to 2 different Airbnbs, and those doors are locked, but the front door should remain unlocked at all times. And the doorknob on it got locked. So, thank goodness they had a very small kid with them. They crawled through the window and they got in. So they solved their own problem. But then we ended up replacing
Why did they solve their own problem?
Because I wasn't available. I was sleeping.
This happened at like what time?
Yeah, I think it was like 9:30 or 10.
Yeah, it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And again, we woke up to a couple messages on Airbnb, right? Yeah. And I guess you're the one who checks it. So where's some of the messages
they were just like the door's locked. Like, how do we get in? And I didn't respond. So I think they took like about an hour before they actually got in. Meanwhile, the other tenant, so we have that door that should be unlocked, goes to 2 different doors inside, and that the other tenant came home as well, and was locked out as well. So they were just like kind of hanging out there, figuring out how the heck they were going to get in. It was summertime, thank goodness. So the window was open, and they crawled in the window, put the son in the window, and he unlocked the door and got everybody out. But again, how do we solve this so it never happens again? How do we solve this problem? So we put a door handle that doesn't lock, can't lock on that exterior door.
So again, it was a situation that we had to get involved, but then we created a system that it could never happen again because that door is no longer locked. And
these are all things that like you could absolutely make a mountain out of. They've been very inconvenient. They've been like, they suck when they happen, but at the same time, like it's a learning process for everybody involved. And it's not always going to be butterflies and fairy tales and $4,000 deposits. Like there will be issues, but the issues are so worth it. Like we don't hyper focus on those issues. It's funny. You're like asking me to recall these things. And I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen, because we don't make a big deal out of them. Like they are what they are. And we help the client as best we can, or the tenant as best we can. And then we create a solution for it and we move on.
So simple. And, I mean, I don't know if there's any better way to say it than that. It's like you have issues, you have problems, and then you create a process behind it, and then you give it to a person, right? which is preferably a VA, an assistant, or just someone else on your team, just depending on what your resources that you currently have.
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to our VA really quick. She is phenomenal. She lives in the Philippines and she works hours that are not absolutely favorable for her. But she is hands down a stud. She's asked great questions. She's very respectful. She's very loyal. She's been with us for over a year. And I advise you to get yourself a VA.
Yeah. Yep, we're actually in the process of hiring another VA as we speak, right? Because we just have so much, we have so much stuff going on. We need another VA, and yeah, and here, another side tangent. I go on this, like us as Americans, we're very entitled, we're very spoiled, and sometimes people think of us VAs as like objects, where things like VAs are people, they're human beings. And I've even caught Katie, I've even caught you doing this sometimes, like calling them VAs, like they're like it's like my wife, like my wife is an object, like my wife over there. So Katie, like you're a human being, right? And so like when you treat your staff members as like friends and family members, which includes VAs, they respect you on that level as well. And you start to think about them like that, then just I think that's what I'm trying to get across, is that when you treat them like family members, you treat them like human beings. That's what they are.
They are an extension of you.
They're an extension of you. Yeah. So it depends on what you're looking for, but like we personally use a company called Online PH. This is for virtual assistants. If you're looking, like when I say virtual assistant, I mean a true virtual assistant, someone who's just doing admin work. If you're looking for like a sales VA, you're looking for someone who's like a little bit higher caliber. Like if you're looking to things like cold calling, things like that, I would suggest using Start Virtual. That's company that Pace uses. I wouldn't say they're just a little bit more directly trained for a specific role. But for like actual admin type tasks, they're relatively simple, I would say. We use Online PH, and that's where we find our VAs. So, and like I was just like right before this call, I was on a call with about 20 of them, and yeah, we'll hire one later today / early tomorrow morning. So
awesome.
All right, Katie. So automation. Is there any other pieces of automation that you want to get across?
Yeah, I think that just the biggest thing that I have learned through delegating things, you like learn about your systems like better than if you were to just continue to do them yourself all the time. Like, why do you do what you do? And creating a system around it, it almost, by delegating it, it forces you to actually think about the system involved. And that's how we've been able to go as fast as we have and as quick as we have, is because we delegate everything. And we make videos. And when you teach somebody to do something, you learn it at a different caliber than when you just do it. And it is, I mean, it's served us really well, I think, in the last 2 years. But even if you don't delegate it, like make a video.
Yeah.
And learn about why you do what you do. Even if you're not delegating yet, or you're not to that stage, like start a system of like, this is like, for instance, we have a marriage meeting every week and we go over our finances, and she pulls our finances from every different vertical that we have finances in, and she puts them on a spreadsheet. Like if that's something that you still currently do, like make a video on how to do it. And then when you're ready to plug that person in, you already have it made and you know why you do what you do and how you do it. Because a lot of times, like we literally put our blinders on and we put our head down and we're like going. And when you stop and you think about delegating the process, it's like, it simplifies a lot of things.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
It's awesome. Do even if you don't delegate to somebody else, like do the video, have the process, do it for yourself. Because when you have clarity on what it is, then all of a sudden you can start to see who needs to go to, or just have clarity on how to do the job as well as it needs to get done.
Yeah.
Right. It's awesome. All right. You have anything else that you want to share today on automation?
No.
That's pretty much it. It's really simple. It's a process and it's a person. And when you have those two things, you're able to delegate everything, whether it's short-term rentals, long-term rentals. We have other businesses as well, more active businesses that would literally use that same.
I do have
concept.
one more thing.
Oh,
so
one more thing.
When you onboard somebody and you train somebody and you're a business owner, the time and the attention that it takes to train one person is a lot. If that position if it has a lot of tactical things associated with it. For instance, we have a cleaning business. So there are a lot of things that they need to learn in order to become an admin on the cleaning team. If I was to sit down and onboard every single person and teach them everything that they need to know, I would spend probably 20 hours with them just going over our processes, just going over the technology that we use and everything. So by creating these videos and putting them in a video library, like most of the time, the questions that arise later could be answered in these video tutorials. So it just saves time, like all around. Onboarding the person, you put them through all of these videos, all of these, basically this checklist of like, you need to learn how to do X, Y, and Z. It simplifies things for you. And then they also have a video portal to go back to learn everything. So like the amount of time that it takes on the front end to create the system and the videos is sometimes it's a lot, but it's well worth it when after you hire somebody and they're onboarded like that, it's there. Like you could plug and play another person just like that.
So do it. So it might take a lot of time up front, but then after that, you have an asset that you can just onboard as many people as you need to as you go, right? It's awesome. All right, guys. Well, I think that's all we got for today. And so what we're going to do is everyone who's been on this and watching this, thank you so much. Anyone who wants to go to the Clever Investor Summit, wants to room with us, I want you to comment on YouTube. Comment on YouTube. We'll reach out to you. We'll set up a time to chat, and we're going to pick one of you guys to actually shack up with us and hang out with us in Vegas. Right? We're staying at the MGM, right? We're staying at the MGM? Yeah, we're staying at the MGM. We bought an extra bed just for this reason, to have somebody who's a substitute student hang out with us. So again, make sure you've commented on YouTube. Make sure you're on YouTube. Make sure you've commented. Make sure you subscribe. And then I'm going to reach out to you. And yeah, we're going to pick one person to shack up with us and have some fun in Vegas. Because what happens in Vegas probably just stays in Vegas, I bet. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. Happy Sunday to everybody. Appreciate you for watching. My name's Logan Manzanares.
Katie Manzanares.
We're out.
Bye.
Bye.